Thiago Silva in the first half opening the scoring, then a brace for Tammy Abraham giving Chelsea their first win in 3. Here to discuss it, Don Hutchison, Frank Leboeuf and Craig Burley. Craig, Chelsea weren't particularly pretty, but they got the job done, which is something obviously they didn't do against Wolves in the previous match.
Yeah, they just had to get back onto winning ways, particularly as the top of that table is getting very concentrated now with all these teams up there. And, you know, back-to-back defeats, did not play well and didn't really play well tonight again. I mean, the 3-0 scoreline flatters them, but it's a result. Listen, and if West Ham had a bit more in the final third, which we know they don't have at the moment, things may have been different. So it was a result that was dug out. Yeah, the goals late on were bonuses, but for long periods, you know, this game was pretty even.
Frank, we talked, didn't we, after the defeats against Everton and Wolves, that Chelsea need to mature, they need to know how to win dirty. Did we see some of that more today?
Well, a little bit. We didn't see a lot. As Craig said, you know, we have to keep in mind that they got the 3 points and that's it. I think it's not really a fair result for the Hammers because I think they maybe deserve a draw. You know, they were pretty good at the back. They conceded 2 goals. Chelsea was dismissed by the referee, fairly dismissed for me. And Thiago Silva was maybe the man of the match, scoring a goal, being strong in defensively. But I'm not happy with the forwards, was what I saw. But also in the middle of the park, I think there are some empty spaces. So much to say, but again, the fan will only keep the 3 points, and this may be the main things to get lately, because with the 2 defeats before, as you mentioned, you know, that's the only thing they needed.
God, what's wrong with you, Frank? They deserve to win, didn't they? West Ham didn't have a shot on target in the game.
No, but I mean, you only think about statistics. I watched the game, I understand the game.
Yeah, I know, there's statistics, and there's statistics, and not having a shot on target would suggest your team doesn't deserve anything from the match.
No, it's not that simple. Football is more complicated than that. I think for an hour, Chelsea suffered on the field, and my two colleagues will back me up, I think, on that, where we saw a very strange way of playing after 20 minutes. They were leading the game for 20 minutes, and suddenly something happened, and the way of leading, the way changed dramatically. And I don't know why. I don't know why some players were in the round and didn't do the job. But I'm not happy with the way they play. I'm just happy for them for the result. That's it.
Don, Frank mentioning there the strikers, Timo Werner now, no goals in 10. His worst run for 4 years. What's happened? You saw a lot of him in Germany.
Yeah, I think it's a case of him looking pretty tired, Dan, to be honest. I thought, you know, tonight he looked a little bit jaded. Out on that left-hand side, he was doing a lot of hard running as he normally does. He normally works incredibly hard, but now you sort of see him in the 18-yard box. He looks a little bit tired. There was one where he had an effort on his left foot, and it was a sort of a scruffy little effort where he scuffed it straight down Fabianski's throat. Second half, he had the best chance on his right foot. He took a tired first touch, didn't take a particularly good one. Then it got away from him, and he wrapped the crossbar. I just think you're looking at a guy at the minute who's struggling for a little bit of form.
The only part, Dan, of this Chelsea side that's picking itself at the moment, when everyone's fit and we know Reece James wasn't available, is the back four. We saw Chilwell take a knock again, so what that's going to mean for this weekend against Arsenal, I don't know. But if they're all fit and the goalie's fit, that's nailed on. The rest of it is a bit of an issue at the moment, and I don't want to over-egg that pudding because, you know, they've had a good win. But it is a bit of an issue in terms of the balance. I don't like Jorginho in there with Kanté push forward again. I don't think they need it because Jorginho sits deep. Well, Thiago Silva can come out with the ball and pass the ball, and they can split the centre-halves that way. Kanté can drop back in there and defend. So I don't like the two of them in the same side. I echo what Don said about Werner, but he's going to have to get over it. I mean, he seems the only one of the front three at the moment that's undroppable. In terms of, he seems to play all the time when available. I mean, Abraham's been in, Giroud's been in, Pulisic has been in and out. I know he's been injured. But Werner seems to be the constant, but he's lacking, it might be tiredness, but he looks as if he's lacking confidence to me as well. I mean, the finish was poor in the first half. The ball was delayed from Christian Pulisic. I thought it was a poorly timed ball. It should have went early. But that being said, he still had time to get it out his feet. Then he had a great chance in the second half. The Abraham first goal was actually a horrendous shot from Timo Werner. So it's going to be really interesting come the weekend what Lampard's team selection is going to be, because that was far from fluent. And here is an opportunity to go to the Emirates. I think the game's at the Emirates, and really, trample on top of this Arsenal side that have been really weak recently. So his team selection is going to be really interesting.
Frank, I want to ask you about that first goal. Brilliant header by Thiago Silva. How do you defend that?
Well, definitely not like the Hammers did, and I think it's a tactical mistake for me. Always been, I think you have to put more responsibility on the players when they have to mark their opponents, and which is not the case. It's a zone marking, so everybody takes his own zone and doesn't really care about the opponents. And we saw Bowen a little bit close to Thiago Silva, but he wasn't in his zone when he went forward, so he let him go. And Thiago Silva was completely alone in the middle of two players. And when you go back to the dressing room, you cannot say to a player, why did you do that? Why you didn't keep the marking on Thiago Silva? Nobody is responsible, so nobody is guilty. At the end of the day, everybody is, and even the coach, and mainly the coach. I think you should take your opponent on and make sure that he doesn't go forward. I mean, it's not the ball who is important, it's the opponent who is important. So just look at the opponent, keep him close to you, make sure that, not too much, but make sure he doesn't go to the ball. But if he doesn't touch the ball, he won't score. That's as simple as that. But if you do a zone marking, it's impossible to see that way of defending.
But there must be merits there for zonal marking, Don, because so many coaches do it. And to be fair, this sort of goal from Thiago Silva isn't something we see, I suppose, that regularly. Or why don't we see it more then?
Well, a couple of things. Aaron Cresswell was at fault. He was the front screen for West Ham, and I've always been told when you're operating with a front screen and the first man has to be decent in the air. Cresswell's not particularly good in the air, so he got underneath the ball. And then Frank's right. When you're marking the big players coming in, you've got to get touch tight. You can't allow Thiago Silva and Zuma to get the run and jump on you, otherwise you've got no chance. So you get extra tight, you get underneath them. And if they are going to beat you in the air, best case scenario for them is they're just going to knock a header down, into absolutely no man's land, into nowhere. And they weren't tight enough, they weren't strong enough, and they got punished. But it stems from, in my opinion, Cresswell not being particularly good in the air, who was in that front screen trying to do that job, and it didn't suit him.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.